Cool. Okay, well, welcome. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm wonderful.
Cheers. Thanks for being here.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Today we have Lisa Pesnichak, a professional astrologer on the show today. And your company's name is the Dynamic Self Astrology. Mm-hmm. I've heard very great things from some of the local friends around here. You seem like you know what you're doing with them. They were pleasantly, shocked about how accurate it was.
Yeah.
But how does astrology work, though? Is that too of a general question? But
yeah, so I think in order to really understand astrology, you have to kind of place yourself back in a world before we had electricity and lights, and when we were really dependent upon nature and its cycles. Mm-hmm. And so people looked at the sky a lot. And they put a lot of painstaking hours into figuring out what's moving in the sky and how is it moving, what's its cycles, what does it mean. And there were a lot of omens written in the sky, as well as patterns.
You could probably see it a lot better back then too.
You could, yeah,
with the light
yeah.
pollution. And no one had Instagram, so everyone had a lot of time on their hands.
Seriously. Yeah, everybody was looking, they were looking up at the sky and saying, what's Saturn telling me? What's Venus telling me? What are they doing?
Wow.
Yeah.
So is there like a start date to when astrology first kind of started being documented? Or?
Well, we have, there's structures that are aligned with the different movements of the sun and different stars and
like
planets.
Stonehenge and
Stonehenge, and then even going back beyond that, and they're pretty much all over the world. There's one even speculated that goes back to like 20,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's old. It's basically the first science, and it was a way where we figured out how we fit into this world, and what are the patterns, what does it mean to be human? And also it just, I think, made people feel less alone, right?
Tracked time, I guess, too, right? Because
tracks time, yeah. As well as created a spiritual landscape. So a lot of the world that we have today is even based in astrology. The days of the week are astrological. A month is a moon, right?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Each month is a moon?
Yeah,
I guess that's right.
The word is based off of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like Monday is Moon Day.
Oh.
Saturday is Saturn's Day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
that was so cool.
All the days in the week, there's 7 days in the week, and there's 7 visible planets.
Wow.
And that was back in the day.
Interesting.
Of Julius Caesar. Back in Rome. He's the one who really recreated the calendar, and we still use versions of that today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before that, what were they doing?
There were different versions of the calendar. Honestly, I'm not that familiar with it. I just know that a lot of it, the calendar that we have today, was really rooted in what was created back then.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Julius Caesar.
Yeah, yeah.
A word from our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Tafari, a brand for creatives that aspire to inspire. Check them out at tafariworld.com or on Instagram at tafariworld. The brand's style is rooted in original artwork and tribal energy. Tap into the frequency. Now, tap back into this episode. Okay, I like that. You should use tap back into this episode. How about a little background? What led you into a career in astrology? Did astrology find you, or did you search it out?
Astrology definitely found me. And I think that's the case with a lot of people who get pulled into something like astrology. Ever since I was really little, I remember the first time I saw this book. My sun sign's Pisces, and I found this book on this journal on Pisces. I was like, oh my gosh, I am seeing this means something. And then I could always I quickly memorized all of the signs and could remember people's signs before I could remember their name. So
very cool.
So yeah.
So when you had your son and you bought the book and you could see all these traits in your son
in my sun's sign.
Oh, in your son.
Yeah. So when I was like 8 years old.
Oh, not okay. I'm sorry. Okay. S-U-N. Okay.
Yeah.
S-U-N.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like my son's
very
sign.
cool. So back
that's
when
what
you
a lot
were
of us
8
know.
years old, you were
back
really,
when I was 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty early to be that interested into
that.
Yeah.
So I always kind of kept track of it. And then I started reading books a while back ago, and then started really diving in with taking online classes, which has been an amazing development as far as being an astrologer goes, because there's software, there's online classes, there's people you can connect with from all over the world.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot more accessible than back in the day when you had to be out there either just with your blind eye looking at the sky and writing everything down, or...
So is there like one curriculum that everyone kind of agrees on, or is there different astrologers with different...
I mean, there's a lot of general things that everybody agrees on, like the meaning of the planets, the meaning of the signs. There's a lot of things that are different depending on... It's much more nuanced and much more diverse, I think, than most people realize. Yeah.
Is there a top astrologer that...
There's a bunch of top astrologers.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. So do you go, there's not really schooling for it. It's more of like an online class. Kind of got to dig for the information a little bit.
Yeah. Astrology was kind of shoved into the shadows about 2,000 years ago as Christianity stepped onto the scene, and it's kind of stayed in the shadows for the most part.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's powerful. It's a powerful tool, and it didn't bode well with what was happening with Christianity. And that's a whole huge topic.
Yeah.
But so Christianity, what's interesting is that even though Christianity has in the societies that are Christian tend to have made astrology illegal.
Is that right?
Yeah, like in the past, it's been illegal to be an astrologer.
What are they so scared of?
The power of it.
I guess so.
But like the Vatican has some of the largest collections of ancient astrological text, and they still use astrology to some degree.
Really?
So yeah. So it's.
But they don't condone it, really. Like.
Yeah.
That's very fishy.
Isn't it?
Yep. So
yes.
we've gone over a little bit about the history of astrology. What is the future of astrology?
I think that the future of astrology, especially with technology moving forward, I think it's going to really take some of the ways that the kinks in astrology that can kind of get in the way, like some of the differences.
Like AI could help with astrology, like
in some
calculating.
Way,
so
yeah, I think it can. I think it could help an astrologer, and I think instead of just looking at a little 2D chart, we're going to start looking at something that's more 3D and more interactive.
Is the farther we go out into the universe with like the Webb and the Hubble, do we learn more about the astrology by more stars and planets we see and we go out there? Is that helping astrology, or is that helping astronomy?
It's helping astronomy, I would say. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a strong tie between astrology and astronomy, but there's always been a difference. And most astronomers aren't astrologers, and most astrologers aren't astronomers.
They should get together.
I know, right?
So are we only looking at the stars in our universe, and we wouldn't be calculating planets and stars in other universes? We look
at fixed stars that are way out there. Okay. And so that is something that we take into account, is like Sirius and the Pleiades and those sorts of things.
Sirius is the one that always catches my eye. I think I'm from planet Sirius.
Yeah.
Because I like communicate with, it's always there. And I take out my phone and I find out what star that is. And it's like always Sirius.
It is a powerful star. In fact, the structure that I was mentioned earlier, that was 20,000 years old, they believe that part of the reason why that was built is because that was when Sirius was, because of the tilt of the Earth, was starting to come into view for the first time, which would have been huge back then. Can you imagine having this really bright star all of a sudden show up on the horizon out of nowhere?
And they're probably so aware of every star because I mean, it's so amazing to go out into the country and just stare up at the stars and see the Milky Way.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
wild. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I try to.
Do you own a telescope?
I do.
Yeah. Have you seen Saturn's rings with your own eyes?
I have not.
Oh, that was a treat for me.
I need to do that.
That was just a treat, like just to see it. Like, whoa, it's there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So can you use astrology to like predict the future? Is that what, like when you're reading someone's chart, I guess that's what you're kind of doing? Is it predicting their future or kind of?
Yeah. I mean, so astrology is a bunch of symbols.
Okay.
And energetics, right? I mean, it's looking at, we can get pretty close to what could happen. And it's really important to understand the natal chart first. In order to understand how the events, the transits and that sort of thing are going to play out into the future.
And what is a natal chart?
So a natal chart is a chart that's cast for the moment that you are born. It has to be the correct location, correct time, and the chart is cast. And then it can tell an astrologer a lot of things. It can tell us about your personality. It can tell you about your parents, whether you liked them, whether you didn't. It can tell you about, tell them about your partner, how well that goes, about your children.
So we're going to do this live on air here. You have we did a lot of digging and found the exact time I was born at. Because in Canada, they don't put that on your birth certificate. So
we're not going to go too deep into this.
Okay.
So we'll keep it very, very comfortable for you.
Okay.
So.
Well, it's okay. People like to see me squirm on here. So, so there's not really different types of astrology. There's one astrology, but people kind of vary their opinion on maybe what happens.
Well, there are two very distinct types of astrologies.
Oh, okay.
One is tropical, which is what Western astrology uses, which bases the placement of the zodiac according to where the Aries point is, to where the spring equinox happens.
Okay.
And so it's more seasonal. And then there's sidereal astrology, which is what Jyotish or Indian astrology is based on. And they actually stay with the constellations.
Okay.
So they move it. So in Jyotish, you might have different signs for different planets and angles and that sort of thing.
And what about like Chinese horoscope? Is that kind of like, I'm a rat, you know? Like
and that's based, that's...
Year of the Dragon, right?
Yeah, it's the year of the dragon, the wood dragon.
The wood dragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Chinese astrology, I have not delved very deeply into that, so I can't speak strongly to it, but I know that those are based, what we know of Chinese astrology is largely based on the Jupiter cycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. So I guess anyone can just be an astrologer if you want to be an astrologer bad enough. It's not like like my uncle used to witch water with a stick.
Did he really?
Yeah. And he could tell you
awesome.
how deep you had to dig back in the day. And he was also a
great.
salvager scuba diver. He was a very odd fellow.
Yeah.
But I think you don't have like this gift. Like anybody could really do it, I guess. I don't know about witching, like water. That seemed like a gift, like a superpower he had. I don't know if he was just lucky or if he's...
I don't know. I think that if you feel called to do anything, then, and you put the time and energy into it, then you've got it.
Yep.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. What's your favorite planet? Do you have a favorite planet?
I think that my favorite planet is Venus.
Venus.
Yeah.
That's what my wife told me today. Venus.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a girl thing.
It brings people together. It celebrates beauty and art and collaboration and kindness. I mean, there's downfalls to it. It makes you like a lot of sugar. And
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, it gives you a really nice sweet tooth.
Wow.
And can maybe make you feel entitled to the finer things in life. But yeah.
Doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, she's a pretty fun, juicy planet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're going to read my birth chart. Do you want to, how are we going to get started on that? Tell the audience my birthday, we'll bleep it out, or is there?
So what we're going to do is we're going to tell them your birthday, but not your time.
Oh, okay.
Or location.
Okay.
In order to.
Because it's also my bank PIN number too.
Well, we don't want to tell them.
Just kidding.
But I'm glad that I know. Thank you.
Is there like a general reading like about the time right now we could do? Should we do my birth chart first, or is there like just like a general? Because you were telling me
so it might be
on that day. It was January 12th was like a day that like at 10:54 on your Instagram, it was like it's a time for manifestation and like Leo sun went somewhere. Does that happen on a weekly basis, or does that seem like a big deal on your post when I read it?
Yeah, I mean, if I don't remember specifically which one you were talking about, but I know that if I posted it, it was probably, I only post for pretty like prominent things happening.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I don't do a lot of the little things because I'm busy.
Yeah. So there was a big shift that day then.
Yeah, I mean, January Pluto came in, shifted into Aquarius. Mm-hmm. And that might be worth noting in the podcast, just because it's such a big thing. It's going to really set the tone for the next 19, 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're seeing a lot of the change with Pluto coming into Aquarius with AI. And like last year, Pluto dipped into Aquarius just for a couple months, and then it came back. And during that time is when AI was just everywhere, and people were freaking out and they were excited. And that's when ChatGPT really started pushing itself into our consciousness, and all this new software started coming out. And then
it's out of control now.
Yeah, and then it just kind of settled in, and Pluto went back into Capricorn for a little while. But in January, it did enter into Aquarius again this January. Oh. So the planets, when they ingress, especially the slower ones, they go back and forth, and it takes a couple years for them to just settle into a sign. Really? Yeah. Okay. So it's a whole process. Wow. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I want to hear about my birth chart. I can't believe it, because that day is a special day for me, and that number.
That number.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So first of all, we talked about Venus, right? You just asked me what my favorite planet was, and I said Venus. Yep. And you have Venus right on your ascendant. And in a natal chart, the ascendant point is one of the most personal points in our chart. It's the moment. So we have, if you think about, we often see a cross, right? And in an astrology chart, we call that the cross of matter, where we have the ascendant, descendant, and then that's the horizon. Okay. And then the MC and IC, which is the highest, not actually the highest point in the sky, but it's up there.
That's MC?
The highest, MC, and that's your career point, how you're seen in the world. Okay. And then your IC is more like home and where your roots are. So if you think about a tree, I like to think about that as a tree, where your roots sink down into the ground in your IC, and it's how you're nurtured through your family and your ancestry, and then how that shows up in your career.
So it's some like ancient Greek terminology or something.
It's great. It's Greek terminology. Okay. Exactly.
I see MC. Yeah. I see now.
You see now.
Okay.
So you have the ascendant, descendant. You have Venus on your ascendant line. So that tells me you're creative.
Yeah.
It tells me that you're sensitive. It tells me that even though you have this fiery chart, that there's this part of you that wants to connect with people and wants to bring the finer things into your life and really appreciates a good meal.
How'd you know?
And art and beauty, and you have an innate understanding of aesthetics, and that's really important too. Venus is very interested in aesthetics, and in Leo, it can tend to have aesthetics that have some flash, some flair to it, and it wants to be seen. It might throw some extra splash of color or some gold or something like that into the mix because that's fun, and it's what Leo is here to do, and it's what Venus and Leo is here to do, and it's also part of what you're here to do, is to bring that beauty and excitement into the world. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like it's on point.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that Venus rules your MC point and medium cole. That's what it is.
Oh. That rule. Okay.
It
wow.
rules
So that's what
your
I'm doing
MC,
now.
your career. And when we see the planet that rules your career conjunct your ascendant, that says you work for yourself, that you probably have a sign out in front of your building or something that says your name, which is you, the business. Like, you are your business. And that's largely what that is. And whatever, it's a pretty solid signature in a chart that says that this person is their own boss. Their business is them. And
that's exactly. And the name of the business is Matt Robertson.
I know. So I mean,
another one checks out.
Yeah, it's pretty uncanny how that tends to work.
Wow. So can you be like half Venus and in your MC? My MC is just totally Venus, right?
It's ruled by Taurus.
Oh.
Or it's in the sign of Taurus, ruled by that Venus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways. Like, when you read a chart, you're constantly kind of changing lenses in order to look at the chart from a different perspective. And so I can look at it just from your perspective. I can look at it from your partner's perspective. I can look at it from a whole bunch of different perspectives.
Wow.
And let's see. The other thing is you have what we call a very fixed chart, which tells me that even though there's a lot of things that suggest that you have a need for excitement and change and independence and have some revolutionary spirit to you, and I see that through different aspects to your ascendant, that you also can work tirelessly towards one thing. Like, you kind of get into one thing, and pivoting isn't your forte necessarily. Like, you can pivot within the world that you're in, but there's a sense when you have so much fixed energy that you just want to sink into that one thing and do as much as you can within that one perspective, that one goal or environment that you've put yourself in.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, so you're not the type of person who's like, okay, I did this
half-ass now moving over here.
Yeah, or I don't suspect that you're the person who's going to be like, hey, let's move to wherever, and because now I want to just surf, or what, you know what I mean, or whatever. I mean, sure, that maybe sounds nice.
That does sound nice, but that's a lot and not practical for me right now. But
well, of course, but you don't have, and that's maybe an extreme example.
I do dream about moving to a little small beach community and just like a small little surfing with the kids. That would be great. But
yeah, for sure. But you'd probably have to
I'd probably hate it and move back here. I just want to go there on vacation for like a week a year.
Well, I hope you get your beach house with
one day
with your family.
I will one day.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, so
what else? This is juicy.
Yeah, you liking this?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the next place I usually go on a chart is looking at what planet rules your ascendant, because that's a very sensitive part of your chart. Yours is the sun at 0 degrees of Leo, which is lovely because the sun is in a good sign for itself. It's strong there. It really wants to be able to shine and create. Again, this is a reiteration of the creativity that you hold within yourself.
Does 0 degrees make it stronger? Or
0 degrees says, I'm here to do this.
I've said that before.
0 degrees says, I am so excited to be where I am, and it has the energy of I'm here to take chances, and I'm here to do things that maybe people told me I couldn't do, and just having this drive and this vision towards whatever it is that planet is calling you towards, and what that chart is calling you towards, and
That sounds good.
Yeah, for sure. But there is a trickiness to this placement.
Okay.
So let me talk you through that. So it's in what we call the 12th house. And the 12th house is, first of all, I'll say that there's actually quite a few famous leaders and celebrities who have 12th house, strong 12th house placements. So it doesn't mean, whatever I'm going to say doesn't mean just what I'm going to say. Okay. So I just want to nuance that. And you have to look at the whole chart. But what this says is that there's something about your life where you feel like you can't always get your hand on the proverbial steering wheel. Almost like something else kind of has its hand. Maybe it's fate, maybe it's other circumstances, and maybe this is something that you worked through strongly when you were younger too, where you may have just felt like you are too sensitive, like there's a real sensitivity to the 12th house, as well as a connection to spirituality, possibly ancestors, maybe even, especially with that 0 degree, like almost a past life thing, like something within you said, I'm coming here to be an artist, and this has to do with something on the other side. So the 12th house is really this space where we're connected to what's on the other side of the veil. And it's not always clear where that's coming from in the chart. I think sometimes it's up to the native, the person who has the chart to really work through that. But there can be fear associated with being in the 12th house because of that feeling of like a lack of control. And it can feel like a lot to be a human in a human body and a human life with this connection to the spiritual and to whatever's on the other side. And it's probably something that can also inspire your work and make it a much deeper experience for the people who participate in your art, as well as people and also you creating the art. So yeah.
That's interesting. I've been waking up at 3:00 in the morning, like clockwork for a little while now. And I seem to go through phases of doing that, but I heard the veil's thin at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you should
meditate there.
Strike up a conversation with your guides.
Yeah.
When you have 12th house placements, the other side is pretty close.
Yeah.
So
we were just at this artist's house who passed away a long time ago, Robertson, and it's left as how he left it, with the paintbrush like this.
Yeah.
And we were taking pictures off the walls and sitting down and like staring at them, and the lights were going on and off in the house.
There you go.
And it was like, Robert's here. Robert.
Yeah.
But I do believe in that, and I've had a few experiences like that too.
I'm sure that doesn't surprise me at all, and I wouldn't be surprised that, especially as you get older, that might be something that you're more drawn to, and something that really feeds you as you get older is connecting with that part of yourself.
Wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have here? So I wrote this out so we're not plunging too deeply into I actually didn't bring in anybody from your life because I just didn't think that would probably be a very good idea.
Oh, hi, what's it say?
But it does look like, and I don't know,
Ooh.
it does look like, and this would take a much deeper conversation, but it does look like.
Maybe we could do this off the air. We can cut anything too.
Yeah.
But give me the full spectrum, maybe.
So, I mean, part of this is that I'm just saying that it looks like your parents have.
Oh, my parents are. We're gonna cut this part out.
Okay.
No, but they've had issues. They were divorced at an early age,
Okay.
and they've, I mean, I don't want to go into that on here, but we could say there's been, they're great parents. They're great separately.
But
together.
whatever
They can't come in
happened,
the room together.
Whatever happened, it looks like you're able to maintain a good relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I have a great relationship with them both. Yeah.
Oh, with your partner.
Oh, with my partner?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It looks like there's a strong bond there.
There is, yeah.
It looks like there's something that regardless of what happened elsewhere in your life, that you were able to manifest that for yourself. So that's really good. Let's see. And also there's a real strong indication in your chart that you have a very strong drive and vision in what you do. And that you have a leadership quality that doesn't come naturally to everybody. And you can, and I think this really complements the fixed energy that I was talking about before, where you stick with things. Like this can also be a signature for obsession with things, and having a project where you just can't get it out of your mind, and you're in it and you're in it and you're in it. And you have the ability to maintain that focus and bring it through to a successful point, which is, as an astrologer, we like to see things corroborate. And when we see two or more things pointing towards the same thing, which is what this is doing, this tells me that you can work yourself. You can work hard.
It's a blessing and a curse,
yes.
Because sometimes I don't know how to relax sometimes if I'm not focused on it's hard for me to take a day off here and there. So
and your body
on point.
Yeah, your body can become worn down.
Worn down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You need to, there is another signature in your chart that I was looking at that says that your body has sensitivities to it. And sometimes I think that these things show up as a result of you being able to work so hard that this other signature is showing up and saying, yes, and I'm worn out. And
so maybe find more of a balance in that.
Yeah.
I can change the stars, right? With my, if I take 2 days off a week. This says take care of my body, though, what you're telling me.
Yeah, and I'm sure.
Because I do abuse it with what I do, like, for work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm burnt up. I got burnt and, like, just cut and back, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a huge thing, right? Okay. Like, I've seen signatures much stronger than this, for sure.
Oh, okay.
So, but this is just a part, it's kind of the balance, right, to all of the hard work and focus that we've been talking about, which is... you need to find time to relax, and it's hard for you. That's the thing. That's the thing is like the kind of aspect that this is saying. It's not saying, oh, but I can just sink into this part of my life and relax. It's saying that it's a real struggle for you to get there. And it's a struggle for you to surrender and for you to put your feet up on the couch and just say, this is a great moment. I'm going to just lay here with nothing on my mind and, connect with the things that I have in my 12th house, right? Mm-hmm. So there's, like anything, these natal charts, they show a lot of different characteristics that each of us is dealing within ourselves. People are very complex. We're not simple beings. We're not just this beautiful Venus on the ascendant that wants to create with this beautiful sun that's ruling it. There's a lot of complexity within that too that makes you a human. and makes the blessings that you have in your chart more purposeful because you've had to work through the challenges that are in your chart in order to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was meditating for like 5 weeks in a row every day, and it's challenging to just sit quietly for 10 minutes or whatever. And but I felt good after, but I dreaded it. And then, I'd set my timer, but it seemed pointless, but maybe I needed it at that time in my life. I don't know, just sitting quietly. It was hard.
Yeah.
Not thinking.
Well, you have a strong sense of intuition in your chart. So
intuition?
Okay. Really good intuition. So I'd listen to that.
Okay.
And, sometimes while sitting meditation can be lovely, sometimes when we have such an active chart such as this, sometimes finding moving meditations or just finding meditation within your work as well, like just kind of that void.
That's a different type of meditation for me because it's going on, but I like sanctuary meditations where I can go, you know what that is? Where if you go in and you imagine this room, and my friend gave me this rundown. He did it for me, but now you do it on yourself. But I like that, and I imagine all the things on the desk, and it's like a dream sanctuary.
Nice.
But that kept my mind active, and I'm like, oh shit, 10 minutes just went by. But when I was meditating, literally 10 minutes felt like 30 minutes, and then it was like, don't check the phone. So it's really a weird concept of time when I do it too. And sometimes it felt really quick, and then sometimes just forever.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Strange how that works.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's interesting. I do feel blessed I get to do what I do, and I listen to my gut more than maybe somebody who, maybe had a more regular job and had to go to work and maybe had a gut feeling about, I don't know. I feel like I do listen to my gut.
You have a really strong intuition, and you're well played. You've probably always listened to your intuition much more than maybe the average person.
Yeah. I was with my wife, and I was like, cut this out. But yeah. And we got married on a whim in Vegas. And,
well, of course you did.
But then it saved my ass to move to, we were going to get married anyways.
Yeah.
But I just had this calling to get married right now. And we maybe do another, but then I kind of almost had to move to America because I couldn't do what I'm doing after. But
right.
We'll see about that part, leave it in or anything. But that's very interesting.
Yeah. So that's most of what we have. I mean, at this point, we'd start to get into your finances.
Oh, let's leave that for another show.
And your parents and your children and
kids are good though on the chart.
I didn't look into it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk after the show if there's anything you need to tell me.
Okay. It looks like you might not have been sure about having kids at some point.
Yeah. But they're magical little babies. I love them. It's best the gift of my life. It's the best thing. I didn't know what I was missing, and I just didn't know. Maybe I was a little, I don't know, but no, it's a whole new love that you just can't even imagine until you have children.
Exactly.
If you could read anyone's birth chart, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh, gosh.
Is that a question we could ask? Would it be King Julius? Who would it be? Is there somebody that maybe...
I mean, we can have...
Can you read them? If you know their birthday, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we have... There's a whole website database dedicated to famous people's charts.
Oh, there is? Okay, cool.
So that's really nice. But, it's really much more intriguing and interesting just to sit down with an actual person instead of having to rely on people's bibliography. And because there's so much that the chart says that you can't speak to very well unless you have the person in front of you. Yeah,
that makes sense. You can see the little subtleties.
And there's some stuff you can see, but it's much more interesting to have the conversation.
Yeah. Is there what's the rarest sign? Is there a rare sign, or are they all kind of evenly spread?
Pretty evenly spread.
Yeah. Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah. I have never heard anything that says one way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Did you see that solar eclipse that was here in 2017? Aren't we supposed to get another one coming up here?
Yeah.
When I
April
saw
8th.
that, I felt this primal.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
birds stopped chirping out
I
here.
know.
And it was only like 97%, I think, or whatever, 98. But I felt strange.
Yes.
In that like 4 minutes or whatever.
Yes.
I think the next one's going to be everywhere over the United States. And the longest one, do you know when that is?
It's April 8th.
This April 8th. And it's supposed to be a super long solar eclipse.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And
It's a juicy one.
total 100% for all of America.
Yep.
What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to...
Well,
is that a good thing or a bad thing, do you think?
So, I mean, eclipses they...
Because can you imagine that back before,
Well, that's the thing.
hundreds
So,
of years ago? When it was
yes.
like, holy shit, it's over.
They saw it as a huge omen. In fact, so the sun tends to represent the king. And the sun, the king becoming eclipsed is a horrible omen, right? So some cultures, societies would take the king off of the throne for the day and put somebody else on the throne.
Wow.
And then sacrifice that person once the eclipse was over and then put the king back in.
No way.
Yeah. Because they felt like the king had to be sacrificed.
Wow.
And
Those crazy fools.
There was a lot of emotion. And actually, if you look back in history, actually, a really prominent astrologer who actually lives in Denver, Chris Brennan, he just did a whole bunch of work on looking at the eclipses and how it plays out in politics and history. And surprisingly, like the British royal family, their charts all really aligned with eclipses. And
wow.
so as far as this one goes, I'm not sure. I honestly, they tend to have a political twist to them. So yeah, we'll have to see. Keep your eyes.
Really syncs up with the politics right now too, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's going to reflect what's going to happen in the elections this year.
Yeah.
Is probably what it's going to do.
And that's in November, right? And the eclipse is in April. So we'll get the eclipse and get the
but we'll have some eclipses that are powerful, but probably not as powerful for the United States as this one in April. But we'll have those in October.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the moon? What do you think the moon is? Because
it's a big piece of cheese.
Could be. I think it's how do you think it formed there?
Oh, gosh,
do you even have any thoughts on that?
That is not part of astrology.
Do you find it interesting? It's like the only perfect eclipse that we can see anywhere.
Well, that is what is so amazing about the positioning of the moon, Earth, and the sun.
Yeah.
Because they're all at the exact distance and size, the whole thing in order.
It was like someone brought the moon here from another galaxy just to keep our planet. It protects our planet from so many things. Tidal.
Well, and it keeps the oceans.
Keeps the oceans. Keeps us on a perfect. Because if it tilted a little bit, went away, could be like polar again.
No, we need that moon for sure.
Burning up.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a riddle. Do you know the first person who landed on the moon? His name?
No.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. You're not going to win my prize today. But it's Neil A.
Neil Armstrong.
And what's Neil A
Armstrong.
spelled backwards?
Neil A. Strong spelled backwards.
Neil A. spelled back. Alien. I'll give it to you. He also said it rung like a bell when he landed. Like his ears were ringing. I think it's a hollow. My personal opinion, it's hollow place here. But
so you think that there's like little creatures inside,
maybe not inside, but on the surface.
Okay.
There's some action on the surface going on right now.
Yeah. Do you think that aliens are here right now with us?
Oh yeah. Do you not?
Oh, I definitely do.
Oh yeah. Aliens
might
are
even
here.
be
They're
them.
I saw one in South Bend, Indiana this summer. And it was. We talk about aliens on here sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good thing to talk about, especially
but you know what?
Pluto going into Aquarius.
Oh, really? Is that kind of say aliens? Because now they're doing disclosure here. I think disclosure's,
Well, yeah.
phony I don't believe what they're telling us about the disclosure, but they're telling us that we have we have aliens here.
Yeah, I think we're at a time where it's really hard to know what to believe.
And no one gives a crap anymore. No one
No.
really cared. And I think they tested the waters to see that. But
Yeah.
interesting times.
For sure.
Do you have green eyes?
I do.
You do. Wow, very rare. Are you left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed.
So, green eyes, only like 2% or 5% of the population has green eyes.
Really?
Yeah, but 90% of abductees, alien abductees, have green eyes.
Oh.
They want that green eye blood.
Well, I could just be an alien.
Maybe they're just going to see their relatives. Yeah.
So
But
I just
very rare.
I just took in the green-eyed blood from my abductees. So.
Maybe your ancient ancestors. Come on up here. We can put you right back. Perfectly fine. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming in today. That was really fun. And where can people request your services? Do you do that? Are you doing readings and stuff?
Yeah, I do readings. You can find me at my website. It's www.thedynamicself.com, astrology.com. So it's THEDYNAMICSELFASTROLOGY. It's a really long name.
We'll put a link and it will just be easy to click on there. Yeah. But that's really cool. Well, yeah. So if you want your chart read from Lisa, hit her up. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you. It was really nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. That was really fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. See you guys later. We did good. Woo!
Yay!
All right. Thank you very much. That was fun.